Welcome to a short presentation about noun clauses, its definition, and how it's used in sentences. First, let's talk about exactly what a noun clause is. Let's look at an example. I don't know where my book is. Well, the underlined part of this sentence is our noun clause. A clause is a group of words. So a noun clause is a group of words that acts as a noun. Looking at the next sentence, what the teacher said was inspiring. Once again, we have a noun clause, but now it's at the beginning of the sentence. The noun clause can be either the subject or the object in the sentence. Notice that with both of these examples, we don't know the answer to the question. We don't know where the book is in the first sentence, and we also don't know what the teacher said. That information hasn't been said to us. The first type of noun clause to talk about is the WH clauses. WH clauses are clauses that start with the normal words we use for asking questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. This is going to be a main clause plus the WH clause. For example, he forgot who I was. Obviously, we're using the WH clause with who. Can you tell me what time it is? Once again, we're using one of the WH words with what. And then finally, I know where the book is. Oh, and I also have, I was wondering where you bought that shirt. As you can see, all of these are using who, what, where, when, why. Notice the structure of the noun clauses. This is what makes it important to understand and important to work on closely so that you don't make any mistakes. Normally when we ask a question, we will ask, what time is it, to somebody. But in the noun clause form, notice that the structure has changed. Because normally with the question, we're going to use the verb and then the noun. But when we use it as a noun clause, we've actually switched the order, and we've gone back to speaking like a sentence where the noun comes first and then the verb comes next. I don't know what time it is. Using it in a sentence form like this as a noun clause, it's very important to know the structure of where your subject and your verb go. All right. So why do we use the WH clauses? Well, these clauses help to express uncertainty or curiosity we would have about a certain subject or a certain idea. We're going to start with words in our main clause that show mental activity, such as to know, to understand, remember, and wonder. It could also be to not know, to not understand, to not remember. These will be used in the main clause. For example, I don't remember when the class finishes. Another type of noun clause that's important to know is the if or whether clause. These are different from the WH clauses in a very important aspect. In this situation, instead of using the WH for the noun clause, we're going to use if or the word whether. I don't know if I passed the test. So maybe I have just taken a test and I'm not sure what the outcome will be. So I don't know if I passed the test. I might have passed the test. I might have not. He doesn't know whether he can attend the party. In this situation, he is showing that he is indecisive. He is not sure if he will be able to. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. As you can see, for both of these situations, if or whether are interchangeable. I could start the first sentence with, I don't know whether I passed the test. I could also say he doesn't know if he can attend the party. If or whether are synonymous, so I can use either. There's no rule saying I can't use one over the other. So why use an if-whether clause? Well, once again, this is another clause that shows uncertainty. I don't know if I passed the test or failed it, as I talked about with the earlier example. With these clauses, I can add or not to the if-whether clause, but this is optional. For example, I don't know whether she's at home or not. So in these situations, we are looking at two options and we're not sure which one is correct. This is a little different than when we're using the WH clauses where we're asking who, what, where, when, why, or how. The noun clauses are very helpful when thinking about polite questions. We actually use noun clauses when we ask or write polite questions. For example, could you tell me what time it is? This is a much more polite way to ask the time from someone, especially from a stranger, than just going up to a stranger and asking, what time is it? This is much more appropriate, and we like to use indirect or polite questions when asking. Do you know whether the class is canceled? Once again, this is another indirect, a polite question to ask someone else. And in this situation, we are asking, is the class canceled or is it not? So we have two options. Finally, we have that clauses. And this is with a main clause plus a that clause. For example, I think that he called. Another example, he hopes that he can finish his homework. In these sentences, the word that is also possible to be omitted because, similar to how we have practiced with the relative clauses, the next word after that is a subject. Since he is the subject for both of them, these can allow us that we can take out the that if we want to. I think he called, he hopes he can finish his homework. Why use that clauses? Well, that clauses help to express opinions, thoughts, and feelings. These will be also very important for us to know for reported speech, which we will start learning soon. There is a whole list of verbs that can be found in your intermediate grammar book on page 458, and I suggest you start to look at those. Thinking about the tenses for that clauses, I will just say a few things. When the mental activity verb is in the present tense, the noun clause verb can be in the past, present, or future. For example, I believe that she completed her homework. The first part of this, believe, is in the present tense. I believe right now. But the next part, the part with the noun clause, this is in the past, completed. This is acceptable when using the noun clauses for that. I can also say I predict that they will study noun clauses. I start predict in the present, but then the next part in the noun clause has gone into the future simple. Okay, having a little bit of technical difficulties, but that is the end of the presentation for now. Check back soon for more information about the noun clauses, and we will move into the reported speech after this.